02. With us today, we have Alderman Tolliver, Alderwoman Bade, Alderman Warman, and myself, Alderman Franco. First item is 24-0537, approval of the minutes from the Finance Committee meeting held on July 11, 2024. We have a motion by Alderman Warman, second by Alderwoman Bade. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, and that passes 4-0. Madam Clerk, anybody from the public wishing to speak?
We do not have anyone signed up.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 24-0558, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024, Amendment Number 2 for the 2024 fiscal year.
Good afternoon. Stacy Peterson, the Director of Financial Operations. This is the second budget amendment for 2024. The majority of these items have already been brought through to council, so this is just putting in the dollars into the budget. The exhibit that's attached is an Excel spreadsheet. That Excel spreadsheet lists all the items. The revenues are at the top, expenditures are at the bottom, and they're numbered in sequential order. There are several grant items that are on this budget amendment that has a corresponding revenue and then also a corresponding expenditure item. Those are items 1 and 14, 2 and 15, 5 and 23, 6 and 24, and 7 and 25. These grants range from the tourism grant, public safety, youth services, and a small one from Petco for animal control. Items 9 and 37, 10 and 38 relate to the golf course. The golf course is doing really well with selling food, beverages, and merchandise. This is just increasing their budget so they can purchase more items to sell at the golf course for the remainder of the year. Item 13 is increasing the line item for completion of the special census. That's about $200,000 we have to add to the additional budget. And let's see, item 34 is to purchase an SOG surveillance vehicle, which passed council on June 11th. This is being funded by the federal asset forfeiture funds, and these funds are acquired through the outcome of federal crime cases and are required to be expended on local law enforcement efforts. And do you have any other questions?
Questions or comments from the committee? Alderwoman Bade.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Stacy. So item 14, public arts, SP, other events and other. So 192,800 as additional grant, or is
That is the tourism festival grant that was not put in the original budget for 2024, so this is adding it to the line items. This is in relation to the Luminara Light Festival.
in addition to 247,800?
Chairman?
Yes.
Before we go any further,
Yes.
I want to recuse myself from this. Just realize there may be a conflict of interest, so I'm going to,
On an item in here
on the item we're discussing now, so.
that we're discussing now, legal, do we need them to just not comment on this topic or leave the room until this particular topic? Because we're talking about one of many things on here.
Correct. I believe it'd be up to the Alderman if he stay, and I don't believe he's gonna vote on this item.
So, all right, okay, that's fine. We'll recuse you from this. When we go forward, we will take a vote of 3, because it's all encompassing. And then when we get to city council to do it, then we'll put that on unfinished, and then you could come back and, we could vote on it independently if you need to. But for today's purposes, no discussion, no vote, but stay here. And then
Okay.
we'll just vote on this package, as 3 of us. Okay.
Okay, great.
That
Thanks.
work? All right. That was my one day of law school.
I'm sorry, please
Yes,
go
so
ahead.
that is in addition, that is adding to the 200,
247,800.
yes.
So are there additional things that will be added, or just,
This is just putting the grant into the system. So we're putting the revenue in and then also putting the expenditure in so they can spend that grant funds.
okay, so it's only for Luminera or other events too?
This is just specifically for the Luminara.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this particular agenda item? Okay, hearing none.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bade, with a second by
Second.
Alderman Tolliver. Alderman Warren is recusing himself. Here, then, for all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 24-0551, a resolution requesting approval to purchase CCTV cameras and equipment for a forensic laboratory for the Aurora Police Department using funds received from the Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, Technology and Equipment Program.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Andy Walcott from the Police Department here. Thank you for your time this afternoon. This is in regards to a grant that was accepted by City Council back in November of 2023. We're moving forward with the purchase of some of the items related to that. Specifically, we're looking at CCTVs, which is basically traffic intersection cameras, replacing cameras at the police department. They're cameras that were put in when the building was built, and now they're outdated and failing. Primarily, those ones at the police department are going to go into our booking and jail facilities so we can monitor detainees. So they are pretty crucial because of the liabilities with detainees and keeping an eye on them to make sure they're not getting, hurting themselves or anything else, and that they're being taken care of properly. And then in addition to those, then we'll be installing and integrating 18 additional traffic cameras. That's in collaboration with Traffic Engineering Department. And those are upgrading a lot of old cameras throughout the city that are outdated. At traffic intersections, it helps traffic engineering see when and evaluate problems going on, and then also helps us respond to crimes and determine what happened in various accidents and that type of thing. And then additionally, we're going to be purchasing license plate readers. We kind of have a plan for license plate readers. So one of our goals has been to try to get license plate readers at most of the entrances and exits to the city, so we kind of get an idea when we have stolen vehicles or wanted persons coming in and out of town, that we are aware of those. We've also, our other focus has been getting them around trying to target harden. So we have a decent amount around downtown to kind of protect the downtown. River Edge Park is another priority. The malls are a priority. And this one would actually, we just had come a month or two ago about cameras, LPRs for the outlet mall. This will put cameras around the Fox Valley Mall and license plate readers there. And so that will be covering that. And we'll be using the combination of different places to get those through. Most of the stuff will be, the items will be purchased through Scientel, the Motorola license plate readers, the Quad PTZ, which is the traffic cameras, and the network infrastructure. And then we'll be also kind of diversifying our license plate readers by also adding a company called Flock, who's basically the second largest license plate reader company out there. And it allows us to have a broader depth of where we can get information from. Just to illustrate the usefulness of the license plate readers, last night we had a stolen motor vehicle along Orchard Road. And once we got information of that, officers used license plate readers to attempt to locate the vehicle. Eventually located the vehicle, tried to stop it, it took off, lost it again. Later on, we were able to continue tracking it through both the Motorola license plate readers and the Flock license plate readers from ours and from our neighboring jurisdictions. Even as tracking as far as going down to the city and coming back, our officers located that late last night. And in the meantime, we got reports of that vehicle flashing a gun at residents as they were in other vehicles as it drove by. We eventually located it with the assistance of license plate readers and took 5 subjects in custody, including 3 illegal handguns. 4 of those were juveniles who obviously definitely don't want having these illegal guns. 4 of them were gang members who, again, so those are the type of things that we're using these daily for, and why we need these tools to solve these, because these are people that, you know, are terrorizing our community. We need to get them off the streets. So.
Couple of things. That story you just told, we need to get that and somewhere to show people, everybody they talk, and whenever they talk about license plate readers and negative against it, that story right there tells you everything you need to know. So that, remember that one. Put that on a bumper sticker somewhere. That's a good thing for us. The other thing is, I just want to mention for the public that this grant covers all our costs. And as I read this, we have $1 million left over. So do we put that in the bank for things to purchase subsequent going forward along these lines?
There are some additional things. We had a lot of things budgeted, and there were some changes in what could be covered by the grant. We also, IT's going to be coming forward with, they're working on getting proper quotes and everything for new laptop computers for all of our patrol officers and officers. Because the old ones are out of date now and out of usefulness and life, but they're finishing up on those quotes. So that will use some of that money,
Right.
some of that remaining.
Right, but we got 1.2 for this, which is great, and then about $1 million, and they'll use that for the things you just mentioned going forward as they deem necessary?
They're going to use as much as they can
Sure.
for it within, because the grant was what we applied for was real specific on
Sure.
what we
Right.
have to worry about. There is, just to clarify, there are some ongoing costs for the flock and the Motorola license plate readers, but those are budgeted. You know, it's like yearly licensing
Sure.
fees.
Okay. Okay.
But those are budgeted.
Okay,
so.
thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
One up.
Alderman Oliver, go ahead.
Thanks, Chairman. The traffic cams, those don't record, correct?
They do record.
They do, okay.
Yes.
Because that's what, okay, I'm good with that.
They do record, and that's the usefulness for us, because if we go back, you know, we get a traffic crash, now with Fusus, our officers, our patrol officers get to the scene of a traffic crash. It's always like, one person says it happened this way, the other person has it, and it's a stressful situation, right? You may not even be trying to lie to police, you may just be like,
Sure.
I don't know, you know, I thought I did this or whatever. And so we use those on a regular basis to help solve those little things. We also use it for, you know, for actual crimes. When we get a tip, okay, you know, a black Lexus just pulled out of this lot and went southbound after stealing, you know, so many $100 from this business. Well, now we can kind of look and see, what did that look like? Can we put that description out to the officers and all that, that stuff? But they do, and then traffic engineering, like I said, they use it to evaluate, you know, complaints, to check the camera, or to check if they get complaints about the functioning of the lights, or if there's complaints about, you know, backups and other things at the intersections. So.
That's perfect. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're proving the stuff that you guys need for that specific reason. There was a burglary in Ward 7 a couple of months ago. They knew what kind of truck it was that drove off, but that light that's on Middlebury and Montgomery didn't record, so it did absolutely nothing. So I just wanted to make sure we can avoid stuff like that happening again.
And that's what we're working on, is upgrading, and some of them are also, a lot of the ones around the mall, for example, and out off of Viola Road are so old and antiquated, you know, they're 15 plus years old. So the images you get, you can see, you know, if it's a black car, you see a black blurb going across the screen. Well, that doesn't do anybody any good. And then those traffic cameras are then tied back into our traffic and city fiber, so that it's all looped back in.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
I do.
Alderman Bay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Officer. I wanted to ask, there are so many accidents that happen on 59, Route 59, with the bikers and pedestrians. So I know a few months ago there was a hit and run for somebody hit a bike rider and then they left. We have those type of recording cameras there also, or?
We're a little more limited on Route 59 because it's a state roadway. We do have one camera within this grant. We're actually replacing the camera at McCoy and Route 59. There is an existing camera that is plugged into the city network already, and again, that's one of those cameras that's 15 years old. And it's just so old and outdated. The new cameras we buy actually are what's called a quad camera. So there's 4 cameras all the way around that point in all the directions all the time, and then a pan-tilt zoom camera that can be moved around either live or we can point it at a specific part of the intersection that maybe we're having problems. And so everything at that intersection would be captured. And so that's what we're just trying to do is slowly, but our first priority is replacing what we have that's ailing, and then looking upon that after that to kind of expand, from there.
Is there any plan for Liberty and Route 59 intersection?
I don't know specifically with us. I know that traffic engineering is constantly collaborating with the state on different road projects, and I know their goal is to try to upgrade these cameras when they redo the intersections, to upgrade the cameras at the same time. So I would hope so. There are going to be license plate readers all along now on 59. So if somebody comes or goes from 59, we'll be aware of it. And then in addition to these upgrades of a lot of these other traffic cameras. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
And that's
Motion to
just
approve.
on this part. And then I can then introduce Jacob LaSure,
Sure.
who will talk the other part of it. And Jacob is our digital forensic investigator,
Okay.
and he'll talk about some of the tools that we're also buying with this grant and kind of how he uses those.
Hi, Jacob LaSure. I'm the digital forensic investigator for the Aurora Police Department. Part of this grant, we're going to be acquiring some hardware and software. So just briefly, so before I was employed here, I was part of the Illinois Attorney General's office, where I ran a satellite laboratory for digital forensics. We also spearheaded the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which the Aurora Police Department is also a part of. And so ever since COVID, when there's a lot more children online, doing school from home, etc., the exploitation of children has skyrocketed, which has been a problem for departments all over the state of Illinois. So some of the hardware that we're acquiring is a desktop computer that's going to be used for online child exploitation investigations, a MacBook Pro, a trip light charging cabinet, and some Faraday hardware, which is in line with digital evidence best practices, and then also a TD4 forensic duplicator, which is used to acquire data from computers and hard drives.
Okay. Questions about that? Thank you.
And then there's another slide for the digital forensic software. So these software programs, Celebrate Guardian helps with the case management, digital evidence management, and also cloud storage of digital evidence that we gather to investigate crimes. The Magnet Forensics Gray Key package is a tool that's used to extract data from smartphones. The Magnet Forensics Outrider program is used to triage digital evidence from computers, etc. And then we also have the Chain Analysis Reactor program, which will help with cryptocurrency-related scams and investigations, which has skyrocketed in recent years, especially targeting our elderly community. I've had some cases where, life savings of Aurora victims have been taken through complex scams online or through phone calls, and cryptocurrency is the avenue that they use to steal funds. So,
When we talk about software, and we know software has a life expectancy of whatever technology tells us it is, what do we anticipate how long this stuff will be useful as opposed to upgrading it a year or 2 or 5 years from now because it becomes antiquated.
Yeah, the technology changes drastically, so it's something we can assess year by year. So all of the digital forensic software is what you would pay for annually. And then a lot of the stuff is going more towards the cloud as well. So like Celebrite Guardian, for instance, is a new product that Celebrite, who's already a vendor, is just continuing to create additional tools that can help us aid in our investigations and also drive efficiency. So like Celebrite Guardian, for instance, if we have a case that's going to trial and we have digital evidence that we need to get to the state's attorney's office, currently, if data is too large, a detective has to put it on a thumb drive and hand deliver it to the state's attorney's office. Whereas through Guardian, it would be provided in a online secure platform, which will save man hours.
So when we purchase this software, and you talked about looking at it annually, is there anything in the contract that says if it becomes antiquated, they update it based on what we've already paid for? Is there a supplement to do that? Or when it becomes antiquated, get rid of that software, replace it with brand-new software? How does that work? Sometimes I think we can get upgrades in software depending on the contract itself, so I didn't know if that was how that worked into this at all.
Sure. I've been doing digital forensics for several years now. A lot of the tools that I used several years ago are, just continual updates and different features. And so, like even Celebrite, I've been using for several years. Magnet Forensics, again, several years. These are the tools that are used by a lot of different law enforcement digital forensic labs as kind of the best tools. And these companies are invested in making sure that these tools are on the bleeding edge of providing us the capabilities to stay on top of our investigations. So as far as your question of if there's anything built into the contract or anything like that, I can't really speak to that, but these are very reliable tools.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bay, second by Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last item on the agenda is 24-0553, a resolution authorizing execution of a contract with Compass Minerals America Incorporated in the amount of $773,372, and the appropriation and expenditure of MFT funds for an amount up to $1 million for salt purchases.
Good afternoon, Ian Wade with the Engineering Division. So this is a purchase of road salt that we are doing this year. In addition to our typical annual salt purchase that is done in conjunction with the State Central Management Services Office and the DuPage County Procurement Services Division, we basically piggyback on their solicitation typically as we did this year for our typical salt purchase. However, with the impending completion of the new Public Works facility and 12,000 ton salt dome that is about to be constructed there, we needed to make an additional purchase because the initial filling of that new dome was not in our primary purchase. So in order to make this additional salt purchase, we went out to bid and received 5 bids, including the low bid from Compass Minerals America, who we've used often in the past. And we were actually quite pleased because the pricing we got back was actually a bit lower than the typical contract price that we had for our regular purchase. So we're quite pleased to do that and excited to significantly increase our capacity and ability to keep the roads safe in the winter. Is there any questions?
Questions or comments from the committee? Typically, salt purchases are pretty easy.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
I think this is
straightforward.
going to be no different.
Especially when the pricing was lower.
Well, yes, that makes the finance committee extra happy.
You bet.
Hearing no questions or comments, do we have a motion?
Approve. Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Bates, second by Alderman Tolliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is there anything else to come before the committee this afternoon?
Motion to
Hearing
adjourn.
none, we have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Tolliver, second by Alderwoman Bate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned at 3:26. Thank you. Andy, can I talk to you for a second? When